Hello, everyone. My guest today is Andrew Hoag. He's currently the founder and CEO of TeamPay, a venture-backed company transforming B2B purchasing software. As an advisor, consultant, and serial entrepreneur, he's worked with both small startups and large public companies on product strategy, innovation, operations, and growth. Andrew, you ready to take us to the top?
I am. Let's do this.
All right, TeamPay. Now, are you guys a pure play SaaS company or more like transaction-based?
We have a little bit of both. So we're SaaS first. So software is what we sell to our customers, and then we also help customers move money and make payments.
Okay, so let me get to this answer really quick. Last 12 months revenue, what percent was pure SaaS versus transaction?
95% SaaS.
Okay, good. You're basically a SaaS company. All right.
We are.
And so tell me what the product does for people not familiar.
Yeah, so basically it was a problem that I'd experienced as a founder, which is I constantly had people coming up to me and asking to make purchases. And once you start to scale, if you have 200, 500 people in your team, you can't give everyone a blank check and you can't have everyone turning in expense reports for their monthly buffer subscription. And so what we realized is that the fundamental way that companies do purchasing has changed. More software is being bought bottoms up, more is being purchased by everyone throughout the organization. And other departments have great tools, right? You have tools like Okta and One Login, which do single sign-on. You have tools like GitHub, which controls access to your source code. And there's not a tool that actually controls access to the company's money. And so that's really been where TeamPay is focused and the vision for us.
Interesting. Okay, and what's the company going to pay on average? Just the flat fee, ignore transaction revenue, just the flat SaaS fee per year on average. What do they pay?
Yeah, so I mean, our contracts range anywhere from 4K up to kind of mid to upper 5K figures,
okay,
depending on the volume and the features and those sorts of things.
So, sorry, you said 4K. Did you mean four figures?
Four figures, yeah. Sorry. Four-figure to five-figure ACV. So kind of, if you follow the rabbits, deer, and elephants theory of SaaS, we're very much focused on rabbits and deer.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that is the Christoph Jantz thing that we put him on the kind of the cover of our last magazine specifically for that model.
Yep. Christoph, I worked with when I was in Berlin.
Oh, on which company?
When he was at Point Nine, I worked with a couple of their portfolio companies.
Oh, good. Yeah, no, he's still at Point Nine. That's great. So just to be clear, an average for you would be we'll call it $100,000, something like that.
Yeah, somewhere in that 10 to 100 grand range.
Okay, got it. 10 to 100 grand. Four to five figures. Got it. Very good. All right. And so what's the difference? If someone's going to pay you $1,000 per month or $1,000 per year versus $90,000 per year, what pricing axes are you using to get higher price points?
Yeah, so we price on a couple different dimensions. So we price based on capacity. So roughly how much customers use, and then we price based on features. So features can range anywhere from, like, if you're on QuickBooks or Xero, you're at the lower end of the range. And if you're on SAP, you're at the higher end of the range because it's a more complex integration.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And when did you launch the company? What year?
We launched the company in January of 2017 to the public. We started building the product in September.
And you were 16. There, and you're one of the founders, right? You were there from the beginning?
I was there from the beginning. I started working on it 6 months before the company existed.
That's good. Now, are you developer background?
I am. Yeah, I started my career building supercomputers for NASA.
Interesting. Very cool. Okay, so talk to me about customer growth today. If you're the engineering guy, are you also handling all the first 5 customer sales too, or what?
I handled the first 5, but I've outsourced that and brought on a professional team last year, and they were able to grow us 26% month over month. We've had some really good logo growth, and we've also seen expansion within our existing customers. They're very happy with what we're doing.
That's great. So how many customers today are you working with?
We just crossed over 100.
Oh, congrats. Okay, very good. And then let's break down the team. I want to understand kind of how you got that growth. So team size today is how many people?
So today we're 16. We just started ramping up in January. But in terms of the growth trajectory, we were 4 people for the first year. I was doing all the selling. Then we added demand gen and an account exec on the sales side, and that was 2018. And that's what kind of really put the inflection point in the curve. And now we're starting to basically replicate that out across the sales team.
And team size is 16. Everyone's based in New York?
Yeah, we're all in New York.
Got it. And bootstrapped, or have you raised?
We raised about $4 million in venture.
Okay.
So we raised $1 million before we launched and $3 million post revenue.
All equity or any debt or convertible notes?
That's all equity.
All equity. Yep. Very good. And then how aggressive are you being today in terms of growth? Are you burning today or are you break even?
We're still burning because I get to grow 25% month over month. And if you follow kind of the J curve of SaaS, that growth begins to pay off a really nice annuity in the out years. And we're already seeing that. So we've continued to invest on growth because it's really efficient. Our magic number is north of 1.
You mean a dollar of CAC for $1 new ARR?
It's divided by 4, right? So the SaaS magic number is times 4. So yeah, it's roughly a quarter. for ARR.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so it's one of Christoph's things in terms of the SaaS magic numbers. So you take your sales and marketing investment and your current quarter, and then you look at the previous quarter's growth, and you run a ratio on that. And so that's a measure of your sales and marketing efficiency.
So
I don't have the equation behind me on the board.
Well, the reason I ask everyone, when we say SaaS magic number, everyone has a different magic number. Christoph just called it, identified this formula as his magic thing. So that's why I asked. So you're basically comparing new bookings. I
lost the internet there. Sorry.
That's okay. You're comparing new bookings this quarter to basically marketing spend last quarter.
Yep.
Yeah. Got it. And you're saying it's a 1-to-4 ratio. So you're putting in 25 cents and essentially getting $1 out.
Yeah, that's the 1.0.
Well, it could be flipped though as well. Are you putting $1 in and getting 25 cents out the next quarter?
No, we're putting $1 in and getting $1 in ACV.
Got it. So you're putting it, just to be clear, you're putting it. That's a 1-to-1 ratio. Yeah. So that's the same thing as
that's
a CAC.
Why it's 1.0.
That's a CAC payback of 12 months. Same thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We made that way more complicated than it needed to be. All right, 12-month payback period. That's good. And then churn's critical in a SaaS company. Tell me about how you're measuring churn and how you keep it low.
So, we haven't really experienced any churn so far out of 2 years. So we're pretty happy with that.
Are you happy with that? Shouldn't you have some churn, or are you priced too cheap?
Well, people don't churn in our business. People don't churn because of price. Right. So, if you think about who we sell to, right, we sell to finance teams, and the things they care about is, does this screw up my organization, and does this screw up my process?
Well, Andrew, but if people don't churn because of price, why wouldn't you 4x your price point?
We have been every quarter. It goes up by about 50%.
But you still haven't seen any churn. So why not increase it by 10? Nope. 10 why not increase it by 10x the second you end this interview?
Talk to me in a quarter.
No, but this is a serious question. People get stuck on this all the time. Why are you only going up by 3 or 4? You should have, my point is, I think people should have churn. Otherwise, you're leaving money on the table.
Right. But all of our customers are paying annual contracts. So why would they churn if we increase the price? If we increase the price, they don't buy.
So they churn.
No, but churn is when a customer buys and leaves.
Yeah. So if someone signs up this year and next year they come back and for the same thing, you have 4x.
We haven't had any renewals yet. Yeah, we haven't had any renewals yet.
Didn't you say you launched in 2017?
Yeah, those were all monthlies, and they've all stayed on monthlies. So we haven't gone back and re-upped the price on the monthly users today, but certainly going forward, that's something that we think about. But frankly, customers hit bumpers and they upgrade themselves. So I don't really have to go raise prices on them because they just bring us expansion revenue.
Yeah, my basic question is people always come on the show and brag about no churn. And I see that, and a lot of people say that as a massive weakness. It shows that you're leaving tons of money potentially on the table, and nobody knows. Everyone has their own formula for increasing price. So it's great. They're naturally expanding.
I am 100% leaving money on the table. I am certain of that.
Yeah. So my point is, how do you push those limits quicker? There's a thought process you're using.
Yeah. Part of it is it's more important for us to get logos on the platform than perfect revenue at this point. Right. And so because every logo gets us more logos, right? We see that as we get more referenceability within customers. And so for me, I'm not worried about pricing to perfection at this point, right? We're still a seed stage company. So in terms of our go-to-market motion, our average deal time is less than 4 weeks. And that also is probably an indicator that we're not pricing enough, right? So I absolutely agree.
What do you mean you're not pricing enough? It's not a high enough price point?
Yeah. If it takes 4 weeks, right? To close a deal, then we probably could increase the prices a little bit because it's probably too easy for them to say yes.
Well, I don't know about that. I've run many companies in the past where a $30 sale a month costs the same takes the same amount of time as a $30,000 a month sale. I guess what I'm trying to get at is your pricing right now around, it sounds like number of approvals or number of teammates people have.
No, we don't price per user. We basically price on how much they're using the system, just like you would buy Dropbox or any other.
Yeah, but Dropbox is
capacity driven.
What is your version of storage?
Our version of storage is how much people use the system. So how many requests, transactions, volume.
That was the question.
Card size. Yeah. There's
so
a bunch of
what's the number
dimensions.
one? What's the number one usage metric that is mostly directly correlated with upsells?
It depends on the customer, but usually it's how much they use the platform. So how much volume are they pushing through it? How many transactions are they doing? How many approvals are they doing? How many cards are they issuing? right? All of those are different dimensions that we can price across.
Yeah. Again, what I'm asking is, of those dimensions, which one is the strongest leading indicator for you in terms of expansion?
Probably transactions, but it's about half and half between accounts. It's not consistent.
Okay, interesting.
Because like we have some customers that are using us to buy WeWorks, right? And if you're buying WeWork at 35 or 50K a month, it's going to look very different than if you're buying, like office supplies, right? And so there's different usage patterns. And frankly, we don't dictate to our customers how they use the platform. It's just like if Dropbox was charging per file or per gigabyte, right? They chose per gigabyte, but they could also charge per file.
Well, no, it wouldn't work because it wouldn't work per file. That's exactly actually the question. The reason I ask this question is usually if someone gives me like 7 answers to this, it's like clear they're not actually quite sure yet what value they're bringing. Dropbox knows it is storage driven. It doesn't matter if it's 1 file or 1 million files. And so that's why I'm asking you this question. I mean, for me, when I think about this problem at my last company, we had 50 employees. I felt it. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like I don't have time to freaking sign a piece of paper to approve a $40 a month, G Suite subscription that you want to go sign up for. So my pain point on this would be it'd be number of cards I have to issue. I guess each employee gets a card essentially.
No, each vendor.
Each vendor gets a card. So if I am Nathan Latka's company and I'm signing up for 100 different software platforms, 100 different expenses, I have a different card for each vendor I'm paying for.
Yep.
So I have 100 cards I have to manage.
Yep.
Okay. How do you make that work? That sounds extremely complex to me.
Because you never see the card.
So it's not a physical card.
You're already managing 100 vendors, right? And so the benefit is that each one of those, so let's say you have one card for Caviar and you have another card for GitHub, right? Those cards are coded differently on the accounting system. So the advantage to the customer is that I have a card that's coded for food and I have a card that's coded for engineering, R&D, right? And we automate all of that on the back end.
So it's not a physical card.
We do physical and we do virtual cards, both, right? If you're doing a physical card for T&E, yes, it works the way you talked about. But most of our customers use us for OpEx because that's actually where the pain is. Every company we've run into has a spreadsheet of here's all our subscriptions, here's all the stuff that the office manager is buying, here's all the things that we need to book for this event. And that's really difficult to manage if you're trying to share that across cards and you have to do a bunch of coding at the end of the month and you have to make sure that it's in budget. You have to make sure that it falls under someone's approval rules.
Yep. Very good. Okay. And then talk to me about the first 10 customers you got. How'd you hustle your way there? Where'd you find them?
It was interesting. Like, I think a lot of the customers came through our network, right? I mean, I think that's just the way. Part of what we had to figure out in the beginning is what the right size of customer is and what the ICP is, right? So we have a couple customers that are less than 50 people, but most of our customers are a little bit larger. And frankly, in the last 6 months, most of our customers are more than 200 people. So a lot of what we spent the early time on was starting with very small customers, realizing there wasn't good product market fit, and then drifting up and up and up until we found that there was kind of that sweet spot there around 50 or 100 employees.
Okay, but you started off with your network. It's that super vague. To be really specific. So you found someone in your network with more than 50 people on their team, and then how did you know this person? Who was it?
So, I mean, network to me includes investors, advisors, personal relationships, friends of friends, fellow entrepreneurs, and people that we met through events here in New York. Is that less vague?
No. So specifically, who was the first sale and how did you meet that person?
Who was, good question.
Or just an early one. Yeah, an early one you remember.
First revenue-based customer was through an investor who knew a CFO at another company.
Got it. Okay, so you raised pre-product, pre-revenue.
Yes.
Okay, so you had investors and basically said, "Hey guys, if you have any CFOs you can introduce me to in your portfolio companies, that would be a great customer for us."
We raised pre-product, pre-revenue, and pre-team. That's correct.
My point is you put out an ask to your investors that said, "Hey, we'd love for you to introduce us to CFOs. If you have any, introduce us." And that's how you got your first customer.
Yep.
Got it. Okay, that's really helpful. Very good.
Among those other 6 things I mentioned.
Yeah. Fine. Yeah.
It was just that one was the one that converted.
Yep. Well, that's a good one to know about. So, okay, good. Use your investor network there. Launched 2017, raised $4 million to do it. You're burning capital today, investing in growth, 12-month payback period. That's good. 100 customers, you said. And then you said kind of 4 to 5 figures. So, I mean, when do you break $1 million in ARR or have you already done that?
We're really close.
Do you think it'll happen like this month or next month?
It could happen this month. Yeah.
And what do you hope to get to? So there's what, 10 months left in this year. What do you hope to get to by the end of 2019?
Yeah, I mean, right there, it's kind of like we think we can do better than the standard triple, triple, double, double, double.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of what we look at as the lower bar. I mean, most investors we talk to look at that as the floor.
Yep.
So that's kind of table stakes. And we've got a pretty aggressive growth plan this year, considering all that growth we did on a single sales rep.
What'd you do historically? So if you're doing call it 80 grand a month today, what were you doing a year ago?
I mean, we 10x, 20x the revenue in the last year.
Okay. So you're doing like 8 grand a month a year ago?
Yeah, even less.
Okay, good. I mean, you were really just coming to market.
Yeah, exactly. We were just proving the MVP out, and then it was scaling the go-to-market.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, Andrew, what's your favorite business book?
That's a great question. The Hard Thing About Hard Things by Mr. Horowitz.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
Not a single one. I tend to follow a couple people. I like what Henry Ward is doing at Carta. I think he's been thoughtful about how he's building the organization. And there's a couple here in New York that I follow.
Number 3, what is your favorite online tool for building the company?
What do you mean? What does that mean?
The tool that your team uses the most to build the company, the software you spend the most on internally.
Oh, probably Slack.
Okay.
Communication, scaling.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
6 to 7.
And what's your situation? Married, single, kiddos?
I'm married.
Okay. No kids?
No kids.
Nice.
Just a pup. We got a chief dog officer.
That's good. And how old are you?
He's on the website. I'm old for this. I'm in my 40s.
That's not old, Andrew. All right. Last question. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
How much fun this was. I took a decade before I did the startup journey, and I should have done it when I was younger.
Guys, get into a startup earlier. Andrew founded TeamPay to make, again, payments that you're already spending money on more efficient, more easy to scale, especially as you grow your team size to 50, 100, 200 people. Launched in 2017, now 100 customers, paying, call it an average of $800 a month, so 80 grand a month in terms of MRR, up from, call it 4, 5, 6 grand a month just a year ago. So obviously nice growth there. Upselling really based off number of transactions as they scale. Again, 4 million raised, burning capital, 16 folks based in New York and remote locations, a 12-month payback period to get those customers. Andrew, thanks for taking us to the top.
All right. Sounds good.